All right, so I'm going to try using this to add on to the tail of the Triceratops. All right, so for the tail, I'm going to start off with a ball of clay and try to make a long, thin pinch pot, kind of like a horn. And so I'm going to poke my thumb into it, but I also want it to attach on here, and I want it to seem fairly natural. So I'm going to open up the end, and then I'm going to begin pulling the pointy end outward. So make sure this is all sealed up good. So I'm going to get the outside wet, and then with this hand, I'm going to begin just kind of trying to pinch the clay and pull it outward. Oops. And from the same time, I'm going to kind of push on the inside of it, trying to get it to go out. So you can see the inside there. And the clay is real thick right now. As I go through, hopefully it'll thin out, make it big enough. So the idea is you're using your inside hand to keep the clay from collapsing on you as you're kind of squeezing and pulling the clay outward. The water just makes it real slippery on the outside, makes it allow you to be able to pull the clay in different directions. No, it didn't work. Guess what I'm doing now is kind of pulling with my fingers as I'm supporting from the inside. Okay, so you can see the inside, it's got a point in the end. I just use the stick to open up the back end a little bit more. So I think this is actually about what I'm looking for. I'm trying to decide which way I want it to go. I guess like this here. And then once I get that on there, I will kind of mold it into shape a little bit more. About like that seems right to me. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mark around where I'm going to attach it so I know where to score. So kind of inside that and then along this edge here. All right, so then I'm going to apply the slip to this piece because I know exactly where the slip goes on this side. And I'd rather have a little bit too much slip and wipe off the extra than not have enough. All right, so it was going to go like this on here. So right now it looks a little bit like a Santa hat. If you put a little ball on the end. But I want to just weld it into place to start with. I'm not trying to stretch this one out a lot. I'm just working the two together. And then I'm going to use the littler stick to seal them up. The idea is on this, I do not want it to look like I stuck a piece of clay onto a piece of clay. I want it to look like this was how it was made, or that it just grew out of it. Very natural looking. Okay, it looks like it's sealed good. I'll work on the shape of it more in a minute. So right now I want to think about how this is going to go. So I got my tail here. It's actually a bit fat in here, but I'm going to pinch this in a little bit. Not at the moment so much right now, but we'll thin that out. All right, so for the head of it, so there's a couple ways I could do this. Since this isn't too big, I could think about what the head is going to look like, and from the back I could poke a hole and I could try molding it, making it hollow. I could also make 2 pinch pots and put them together, but because the head on the Triceratops is a little bit longer and thinner, I think I'm gonna just work with 1 piece. All right, so I'm thinking about that size for the most part. So I'm hollowing it out from the inside, so I'm making 1 pinch pot that will end up attaching to it. I'm having some trouble with the concept of where it's attached, exactly how its neck looks, but I'll figure that out in a few minutes. It has that little skirt around its head, little piece of armor, makes it look bigger. I think that'll help with it. All right, so it's kind of got a beak that comes outward. And it's going to have eyes about here. Looks nothing like a Triceratops yet. We're going to have to add some brows, some details on the face, work on the beak some horns. I think that'll be a good start. I'll add the head right there, kind of how that's going to look. So put the head on there, mark around it, and then go ahead and score and slip them together when you're ready. Now the head's going to need a lot more work still. At this point, that's good. So I just cut a little piece out of here. Let's see about attaching this, but it needs to actually be further in. Maybe about like that. I'm going to go ahead and mark here where I think it goes. And I'm going to score.